What's up, everyone? Welcome to the very first episode of the NHL 06 Dynasty Mode series. We're not going to be in any of the Dynasty Mode stuff today. As I've kind of always done with these games, we are going to do like a reveal. We're going to go through, take a look at some rosters. We're going to take a look at some teams. We're going to take a look at the jerseys, which is one of my absolute favorite parts, is the jerseys. Yeah, in terms of this game, they really took a step away from 2005. Was really kind of a step in the wrong direction, I would say. As let's go ahead and get into the actual video game itself. So as we got into NHL 06 here, and I'll get ourselves back to the main menu. NHL 2005, you could argue, was maybe a step in the wrong direction. The gameplay, if you watch the series, you could certainly see the gameplay was a little bit rigid as compared to 2004, which was a little bit rigid. The gameplay really was solid. It really represented kind of true hockey, except for the odd, kind of glitch goal sort of thing where in 2004, I think you could pull up, around the mid boards and just kind of fire it on net, and that would end up being a goal a lot of the time. I'm trying to mute this as much as possible, so hopefully there's no, sort of music overlap or whatever, but anyways, yeah, you could argue that like 2005 was a step in the wrong direction. If you played, like we tried to do the commentary series and let the AIs play, and the AI just has not really fleshed out properly or overly well at this time. And the real big difference was the hitting was nuts. If you put it on the difficult setting, which would obviously be the best possible AI, the AI just would like end up with like 150 to 200 hits a game, and a lot of issues with it, certainly. And I think the EA games have always had a few issues here and there, but 2005 had quite a number of them. They didn't have creative players, stuff like that, which is obviously back in this game, I think, created team as well. So we'll kind of go over the whole game here, and then we'll jump in and start doing the roster reveals maybe first, and then we'll do jersey reveals. So it looks like you can't really sort by overall in this, but it just auto kind of sorts by name. We'll take a look at a few players as we go along here, but we'll kind of highlight a few in there. But yeah, just one last little note on it before we get into this. When we do start this series, I have created a couple of the prospects who kind of came into the 2005-06 season. This is, of course, the season right after the lockout. So this is Sidney Crosby's rookie year. So I think if we go to Pittsburgh over here. Yeah, see, I have actually made Sidney Crosby here. He's just a created player. It's not actually Crosby. But I made Crosby here just because, obviously, he debuted this year. So this is long before roster updates and all those sort of things. So I thought it would be useful to make Sid the Kid here. I think Lemieux's still on the team at this point. Obviously, he played his first year with Lemieux. So yeah, Lemieux's still here. But he has a kind of a nice little supporting cast. I don't believe I created Malkin, because Malkin didn't start playing, I believe, until the 06-07 campaign. But I'm not sure. There might be a few more players to go through and actually get into the game here. Not sure if I created Ovechkin or not yet. No, I haven't created Ovechkin yet, but Ovechkin will come into the game as well, because I believe he debuted in the same season here. So, yeah, just I'm going to add a little like those kind of things in just to make the mode a little bit more interesting. And of course, when you play Washington or Pittsburgh, who are predominantly bad teams at this time, it makes it a little bit more exciting when you can kind of see Sid the Kid or the Grade 8, playing against them and all that kind of stuff. So they will be in for the franchise mode, which would be a little bit fun, but I kind of have to go back through that draft class, or at least through that 05-06 season for most teams, and kind of see the rookies that were active at the time, and that's the people that sort of made their debuts, and add them into the game. So we'll also go through the free agents, because usually there's a few free agents that and I think I'm going to end up adjusting this a little bit too. I might go through and find some of the higher overall ones that probably ended up playing. Maybe Byron Defoe. I don't think he would have played, but just a few of them that are more NHL level, NHL caliber players. And if they played on a team they ended up signing with or something in the 05-06 season, I'll put them on that roster just so it's a little bit more accurate as well. The only issue with that is a lot of the time when you do this, you go back and you actually see like players that were traded for, and it's really tough to gauge like, you know, who was actually on the roster and who wasn't. Like, oh, Mark Messier right here. I don't know if Mark Messier played no 506. He might have. Maybe it was for the Rangers. I'm trying to think right now. Look at his slap shot power, 63. Only wrist shots. Anyways, but yeah, like stuff like this where, you know, if a player actually ended up on a team, you know, I'll put them there. So there's a lot of roster editing I'm still going to do before we, you know, kick off the series. But I thought it would be nice just to go through and, you know, take a look at everything. And I think we'll do this with every game and just kind of take a look at some new stuff and go through it that way. There's 3 R. Montgomerys here. But yeah, let's keep going through here. See if there's anybody else on the roster that or on the free agency. I really do think it's mostly only Messier here. That's like one of the bigger names. That Whitaker kid isn't on there. Maybe I already adjusted this before. And I think I did, yeah. I think I've already made some adjustments to this. So I'll take a look at Messier and see if he played anywhere, or if he was, you know, if he retired before the 0506 season started, which a lot of players did retire, Scott Stevens being one of them, before the league came back in 0506. I'll move them off the rosters, of course, but for now, this is let's start breaking down the rosters. So this is also a time when the game really had like an actual fourth liner was like a 67 overall, and now that's like a bad CHL prospect in like NHL 22 or NHL 23, which is really crazy. I think we've gotten way too deep into the ratings and everybody needing to be almost the same, and it doesn't work. I love having a fourth liner like here, like Dan Bilesma, for instance, the coach, who is, you know, he's 34 at this point, but he's playing in the NHL, and he's a fourth liner. Right? And like he, you know, 0304, he's a traditional fringe hockey player here, and he's a 67 overall. That's a guy you can plug into your lineup and it works. You know, Stanislav Chistov, another player, actually one of my favorite players is Stanislav Chistov. But again, like a 72 overall player who I think makes a lot of sense. That should be your fourth line type of player. He's played 21 games before, and a 72 again in the current games are just that's a non-factor. That's not a player you can put in your lineup at all. It's just doesn't work, and I wish they would really bring that back. So as we go down here, Jeff Friesen, J.S. Shiger, coming off, I guess recently he would have been in, you know, a year removed from one of the like the Conn Smythe win for Anaheim in the 2003 finals, so he's still a pretty good goaltender. Herme is their backup. A very young Joffrey Lupul and Chris Kunitz here. Again, the Ducks are at this point only about a year away from, you know, winning a Stanley Cup. Andy McDonald here. Robert and Scott Niedermayer, his first year in Anaheim here, coming off the lockout. Travis Moen. A lot of pieces that were part of that Ducks Cup winning team here are, was my voice crack there. But yeah, a lot of these players are parts of that Cup winning team in 07. So yeah, like a very good building block for Anaheim to start off. Let's take a look at Atlanta now. Atlanta not very good at this time, really. I think maybe they were kind of in and out of the playoffs, but one thing I've already done is I've already made the Healy for Hossa trade, which was pretty, I think it was done before the season started. Let me even check that. I'm really, I'll use it on my phone. But I'm pretty sure this trade was done before the season ever started. Heatley, of course, going the other way to Ottawa. Yeah, on August 23rd, 2005, Danny Heatley was traded from the Atlanta Thrashers to the Ottawa Senators for Greg DeVries and Marian Hossa. So, an off-season acquisition. So, of course, I've already made that happen here. Hossa is in Atlanta, along with Kovalchuk, Vladimir Kozlov, or was that Victor Kozlov? Vyacheslav, Jesus, I was way off. So many Kozlovs. Anyways. But yeah, taking a look at this is a decently young team as well. They're a few years away from, you know, Hossa leaving in free agency, getting traded to Pittsburgh, and trading Kovalchuk to New Jersey, which, you know, and there's Mark Savard as well. So, pretty good team there for Atlanta. Probably one of the lower teams in the league, but they're not terrible. On to the Bruins, and this is kind of the downtime of the Bruins. Patrice Bergeron's here. Taking a look at him, he's only in 82, but he is 20 years old. Of course, Patrice, I believe, just re-signed with Boston a little while ago. I'm recording this on September 21st, 2022. So a very young Patrice Bergeron, but obviously one of the best players. His potential speaks for itself. 94. Oh, he's so good. 71 games the year prior, or before the lockout there. 16 goals, 23 assists. In the dead puck era is pretty damn good for a rookie. But yeah, as for the Bruins here, this is when they were down and almost out consistently. Brian Leetch randomly here. Most people, I think, forget that Brian Leetch played for the Bruins at one point. Sean McEachran's a pretty good player. Glenn Murray was like the king of these freaking games. I think 03-04 is usually when he just has a stupid season. So NHL 2004, I can remember, or maybe 2005 as well, when you would simulate with him and he would just get way too many points. Coming off a 92-point year, 44 goals as well. Glenn Murray was a very good hockey player for a handful of years there. One of those sim gods for the EA games back at this time. Let's keep going here. Felix Potvin there, very old. Andrew Raycroft, right before he gets traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs in exchange for Tuukka Rask. So, yeah, Leafs fans aren't going to like that one. Brad Stewart, Marco Sturm, of course, here in Boston at this time as a result of the Joe Thornton trade to San Jose. So this is another little aspect we'll get into a little bit over when we get to San Jose through the roster here. Alexei Zhamnov, a very good hockey player at this time. You know, I think pretty much on the downwards, decline of his career here. He's 34 years old at this point. So, yeah, a decent team. Not a lot of strengths, though, for the Bruins. Over to Buffalo. This is a classic team here. Yeah, I think I'll reveal who we're going to use for this series at the end once we review all the rosters here. But Buffalo at this time, oh, man, this was a fun team. 05-06, of course, that season they would beat out the Sens in the second round. And really, the reason why I think they beat them out is because of Hasek going down with an injury in the Olympics. Otherwise, I think Hasek and the Sens are probably on their way to at least a Cup Finals appearance. But yeah, a very solid team at this time. Daniel Briere, up-and-coming Brian Campbell, Tim Connolly, Chris Drury, very good. Matthew Baron, Finneganov, just so many classic names in Buffalo Sabre history here. Mike Greer, Joachim Hescht, Tony Ludman, Ryan Miller's very young here. Ryan Miller only 25. Of course, he would launch into being one of the best goalies in just a year or two here. Very young Jason Pominville. This is a lot of players that were about to break out. Like NHL 07, I think the Sabres are just unreal. Like everybody broke out in this year for the Sabres. Moving on to Calgary, Tony Amonte, Brian Boucher. This is the Flames here are on their way down a little bit after the Cup Finals appearance in 2004, losing to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They still got a lot of good players again, like Kiprusoff's still here, but they've lost a good chunk of what made that team so special. Damon Langkow, Matt Lombardi pretty good here. Darren McCarty coming over. You can remember that. Regeer still here. Roman Turek as the backup. But yeah, a pretty mediocre team for Calgary as they came off like being one of the best teams at kind of a Cinderella run as well. But they're on their way down. And we get over to the eventual Cup champions, the Carolina Hurricanes, my favorite, team in real life. And it's honestly kind of crazy to see how this team is rated. Obviously, they added a lot. They made a good amount of adjustments in the season in real life here. But I think Adams, Kevin and Craig Adams there. Brendan Moore captaining the squad, but only a 79. Eric Cole, kind of a breakout few years here for him. Martin Gerber as a goalie here, who would eventually get beat out to Cam Ward. Brett Hedekin, Francis Caberlet, pretty good as well. Mark Recchi, a big acquisition for the team. Man, Mark Recchi was this player that I swear, just like he kept getting added to teams that were just about to win at this time. Like for the next 5 or 6 seasons, it's just unbelievable. You're talking about getting added to this Carolina team. He got added to Pittsburgh a few years later for their Cup run in 2009. He got added to the Bruins in 2011, too. Like, just an unbelievable hockey player his whole career. Eric Stahl, very young here. Probably his rookie year, maybe. Actually, is it his rookie year, or is he already a year into the league? He's already a year into the league, so it was his second year. And he's going to go on to win the Cup in his second year for Carolina. And then, yeah, we get down here, Oleg Tverodosky. Corey Stillman here as well, another big acquisition. Joseph Vasicek. Doug Waite, another big acquisition for the team. Ray Whitney. Justin Williams, of course, always clutch. No Cam Ward, actually, in here. Might have to create him. Might have to create him as like a third goalie that can kind of come in for the team. So that'll be another addition if we make it for the roster. Chicago Blackhawks, Craig Anderson here. Adrian O'Coin. Matt Barnaby, of course. This is also in the era of the Chicago Blackhawks where they did not televise their own home games in Chicago because the owners were terrible. And wanted people to come to the game. Kyle Calder, Eric Daze, there's a name. Eric Daze, one of the best players, really, probably the most underrated, as the Blackhawks here in a few years are going to go into the era of, winning 3 cups in 5 seasons, or in 6 seasons, I should say. And they're really going to dominate the league here once they get Taves and Kane. But Eric Daze was an unbelievable player for the Chicago Blackhawks during this time, and he really was like the only good player, man. It's crazy. Theo Fleury here. Yikes. Nikolai Habibul, a 94 overall, coming off a 2004 Cup win. So he's one of the best goaltenders coming into this because, of course, we haven't played hockey all last year. But the Chicago Blackhawks, not very good. Tuomo Ruutu, pretty good there. Patrick Sharp on the squad. Radim Verbata there. Very young Radim Verbata. But Chicago, probably not going to be a very good team. Colorado. So now this is, of course, the team we used, 2005. Obviously with some changes. I think a lot of moves were made, and then the lockout happened, and a lot of moves had to get reversed. So Rob Blake's still here, pretty good. Let's take a look at other guys. Vinny Domfus comes in. I don't think we had him for our 2005 series. Riku Hall we did have, of course. Milan Hajduk, absolutely. Darby Hendrickson had him. High Note, I think, was part of a trade. Connor Walchuk, part of a trade. LePerrier Lyle's still here. Nika Leishin, who is one of our best centers. Joe Sakic, of course. Timo Solani's still here. So Korea is the one that's gone at this point, but Solani remains behind. Korea was here. I don't know if Korea ever played a game for the Colorado Avalanche. Another thing I'm going to check on my phone to see if he ever actually did. Because I don't think he did. Or maybe he did. No, I don't think he ever did. So actually he did. 03-04, he played 51 games for the Colorado Avalanche, scoring 11 goals, 25 assists for 36 points. It's been a while since I've done this. My throat is getting super dry. But anyways, yeah, taking a look here. A very solid team still. Alex Tanguay, Jose Theodore is fully here. Pierre Turgeon, that's actually an interesting one. Ossi Vannanen, who was excellent for us in our 2005 series. Mark Svatos, rest in peace. Peter Worrell as well. So, obviously, a little bit of... I think Adam Foote is no longer here either for the... Yeah, Adam Foote is gone for the Colorado Avalanche. So, they dropped a bit. The salary cap era forced them to make adjustments. That's another thing. The cap is technically active, but I don't think it's actually in this video game. I could be wrong, though. I don't remember 06 all that well in terms of like the franchise mode aspects, or the Dynasty Mode aspects, I should say. Remember 07 a lot more, and I can definitely remember a salary cap in 07. So maybe it's in this game. All right, so on to the Columbus Blue Jackets. A very strange team. Brian Berard here. Mark Denis, a very good goaltender at the time. Sergei Fedorov jumped ship from Anaheim to Columbus over the course of the lockout. Adam Foote, as we mentioned, no longer in Colorado. He is in Columbus. Rusty Klesla. Pascal Leclerc, a few years before he would be traded to the Ottawa Senators in exchange for Antoine Vermette. Tardemar Marchand, pretty good. Rick Nash, of course, entering his prime here, just unbelievable. He's got a few years before he's going to end up heading off to New York. Suchi, David Vaborny here, and a very young and very lots of potential here, Nikolai Zherdev, just 20 years old, man. He was one of the most electrifying prospects, and he really just didn't turn out all that great, but a pretty solid prospect. On to Dallas. Dallas is a team that is still pretty good. They're not horrible, but they're certainly on the decline. The early late 90s, early thousands sort of dominance by the Stars. They obviously won the Cup over Buffalo. in those years. Jason Arnott, who seems to have only played for like literally New Jersey or Dallas at this point of his career. Valerie Bure here, Shane Corson on the tail end of his career. Bill Guerin, of course, we acquired him in the 2005 series from the Dallas Stars. Very good player, very, very good. Yuri Lettinen, one of those unbelievably good defensive players. Mike Bonanno, of course, the captain. Brendan Morrow, a future captain. Niinema, very good. Robidaw, names you definitely... Oh, Don Sweeney. Tugnut and Turco as their goaltenders. Turco, of course, at this time, just one of the best in the net. And Sergei Zubov, who was, of course, one of the most underrated defensemen of all time. So Dallas has got a pretty good team. You'd expect them to be in the playoffs. Detroit still in the Western Conference at this time. In real life this year, in 05-06, they would actually end up being eliminated by the team on the right, the Edmonton Oilers. But a coming out party over the few seasons ahead of this from Datsuk and Zetterberg, and this is when they really took control of the team, away from Yzerman especially. Chelios here. Chelios at this point is 43. And I think Chelios played until he was in 2009 he played? 2010? I wonder what year he finally, wrist shot accuracy 59. Unbelievable. Anyways, Chris Chelios, 43 here. Played forever, dude. Corey Cross, Pavel Datsuk in 89. Chris Draper in 86. Thomas Holmstrom, Nick Cronwall, I think Nick Cronwall's extremely young here. Let's see how old he is. He's only 24, so he's got lots of time, and he definitely did not turn into an offensive defenseman. He was a defensive defenseman, and he crushed dudes. Lang, Legacy, Lidstrom, Maltby, man, just Osgood here too. They just had so many good players. Schneider, Shanahan, Steve Thomas is here, man. And then, of course, Yzerman, Zetterberg. One of the best teams. The Detroit Red Wings at this time were so good. On the other side, the Cinderella story of the playoffs, but a very good team, in my opinion, was the Edmonton Oilers. Marc-Andre Bergeron just was such a good defenseman through the playoff run. Ty Conklin, Radek Dvorak, Hemsky Horkoff, George Larocque. Markkanen ended up having to play during that run to the finals. Mike Pekka in one of his best seasons. Fernando Pisani's coming out year. Pronger. Dwayne Rollison, unbelievable in the playoffs. They probably win the cup if it's not for Rollison going down and getting hurt. Sergei Samsonov, unreal. Jason Smith, Ryan Smith, so good. Spacek Stay. This is such a good team. Dick Tarnstrom? How old's Dick Tarnstrom? 30. What happened to Dick Tarnstrom after this one? Anyways. So good. What a team. Edmonton is low-key one of the best teams built in this game. Torres here as well, before he became one of the worst cheap shotters in hockey. But yeah, Edmonton's a team that should be pretty good. And heading to Florida, Jay Bouwmeester, pretty young here still. Solid player. Martin Jelena, of course, the clutch guy for the 2004 Cup Finals run for the Calgary Flames. Sean Hill here, pretty good. Nathan Horton's pretty young here. Richard Jackman, Olli Jokinen, of course, two great players. Roberto Luongo, one of the best goaltenders in hockey. Pretty much about to get traded to Vancouver, I think about mid-season around this area. So he's going to be on the move soon. Joe Nieuwendyk is a big one. Gary Roberts. Florida had a low-key, really old but good team in this. Stephen Weiss, very young, and Mike Van Ryn. As we jump over to LA, Derek Armstrong, pretty good. Sean Avery before, Sean Avery became Sean Avery. A very young Dustin Brown, who just retired, 20 years old here, potential of 88. That'd probably be what he really reached in his career. He was a fantastic hockey player for the LA Kings, capping them to 2 cups over his career. Mike Camilleri, so good. Czech Manic was a solid goaltender this time. Craig Conroy, Joe Corvo, Pavel Dimitra here. Alexander Frolov, man, there's a name, a blast from the past. Another one, just like Nikolai Zherdev, where he was kind of this prospect that was going to be so good. So another name like that. Frolov for sure. Ziggy Palffy, oh man, Mark Parrish here too. Luke Robitaille still playing. Jeremy Roenick, Visnovsky here. A very decent team for LA. Probably just like 2005, they're just kind of weak on goaltending. On to Minnesota now. If you remember Minnesota from the 2005 series, they were the second best team in hockey behind us in Colorado. But again, they look almost very, very similar here. But now they don't have Rolson, who was the best goaltender in 2005. Brunette, scored that goal that retired Patrick Waugh. Dyke is future line. Here's a future line mate of Sidney Crosby. Pascal Dupuis is here. Manny Fernandez, Marian Gaborik, just really about to take off his career here. Josh Harding, Philip Kuba, Brian Ralston at this time. Not a very good team here for Minnesota, that is for sure. They've lost, a key aspect of it, but I'm curious to see if EA has that ability to make that into a good team again. On to Montreal. David Abisher, of course, the Abisher for Theodore trade. Radek Bonk here. Again, another year kind of for Montreal here where they're just not overly good. Saku Koivu, Kovalev, Markov. Even Markov's kind of underrated at this point. Yannick Perreault. Canitz isn't really a notable name at this point. Mike Ribeiro's pretty good. Michael Ryder, Sheldon Surrey. So a few big names, Richard Zednik as well, but a few big names for Montreal at this time, but just not a whole lot of, firing power on this squad. Out of the Nashville Predators, I don't think a very good team at this point in time. Martin Erat, 80 overall. Of course, Martin Erat would be traded for Philip Forsberg, but we won't talk about that. Adam Hall, Dan Hamhughes, Scott Hartnell, a pretty young Scott Hartnell here. Paul Kariya, this is where he jumps to after he leaves Colorado. He had some good years here in Nashville before ending his career in St. Louis afterwards. David Legwand, obviously a Preds legend. Danny Markov, pretty good. I know who their goaltender is. Vladimir Orsa, one of the low-key really good players in this game, like a low rating, but a very good player. Mike Sillinger. Steve Sullivan, very good, 89 overall. Kimmo Timonen, so good at this time. Tutu was about to have a little bit of a breakout as well. Thomas Vokoun, obviously a very good goaltender at this time. Scott Walker, very good. Mark Zidlichki as well, a very solid defender. Nashville just not quite, where they're going to end up in terms of like a really good defensive team built from the back end out. But they're on their way. New Jersey Devils at this time. Of course, the Devils were all over the place in terms of like the Cup Finals appearances. They win the Cup in 2003. They're knocking at the door again in 2004. Going to the lockout, they lose Scott Stevens, but even in 2005, 2006, they're a good team still. And 2006, 2007, they went to the second round, lost to the Sens. They were a good team pretty much until about 2008 when they dropped off a cliff. But that was due to the names that are on this team. You take a look. You got Martin Brodeur. How old's Brodeur at this point? He's 33. He's already 33. It's only 2006. I think Brodeur played for another, 10 years. So he played until he was into his 40s. I think. I'm about 90% sure. I can remember being, playing an Xbox One while Brodeur was going to St. Louis. So, thinking around there. He was about 42. Patrick Elias, another big name. Gianta Gomez, of course. Leonardina there. Ken Klee. This is really when New Jersey started to shift away from the dead puck era style. Lamoriello kind of broadened his horizons in terms of the players he brought into the team. It also didn't really have much of an solid impact for the team, but they were still competitive, that's for sure. Paul Martin here, a nice rookie that's going to get pretty good. Rafalski there. Oh, Scott Stevens is still in the game. Huh. I don't think he played, though. That's another thing. I'm going to look this one up because I don't believe Scott Stevens played beyond the lockout, so he might have to leave the roster here. But so Stevens didn't play, so we'll end up removing him from the roster, just for realism's sake. We'll remove him from the roster because he didn't play after before the lockout. I should say he didn't play after the lockout. In 05 or 04, 05, so he retired there. He'd only played 30 games the season prior as well. So But yeah, one of the best hitters. I think he would probably be deemed dirty by today's standards. But man, like this guy was one of my favorites growing up. Scott Stevens would just kill dudes. A lot of fun to watch, but yeah, unfortunately we're going to have to pull him from the roster here, and the Devils will kind of lose one of their key pieces of identity as well. I was just scrolling through his stats here. The dude had 21 goals in 84-85. Like, that's unreal. That's crazy. He used to be a good friggin' back-end goal scorer. I can't believe that, dude. Because then he just turned into an absolute force. Anyways, just, yeah, I love Scott Stevens so much. But yeah, as we close out the Devils here, Rafalski, Pandolfo, Colin White, a pretty big notable name, but obviously the Devils on their way out of contention into rebuild status. But, you know, of course, they'd have the legend Marty Ritter the whole way through. On to New York. The Islanders, not a very good team, but one that would kind of end up in the playoffs a good amount of times throughout these years. But a few notable names. Jason Blake, a couple years away from, you know, signing with Toronto, becoming a big name there. In the times when Toronto was just desperately clinging to any sort of middle six, top nine guy that they signed was like instantly a first liner and had to play on Sundin's wing. Man, that was Jason Blake here. A very good hockey player, but obviously not, you know, at that level. Bruce Cherkowski we traded for in our 2005 series with Colorado. Excellent player, speedy as heck. Rick DiPietro, who's still getting paid by the Islanders after getting bought out like 5 years after this. Just a terrible contract. Mike Milbury sucks. If you take anything away from this video, it's that Mike Milbury sucks. Mike Milbury, terrible GM. Traded Spets and Chara for Yashin. Like, come on. Anyways, I know hindsight's 2020 and all that, but Jesus, come on. Roman Hamrlik, another name here. Trent Hunter, Kim Janssen. Really good handful of names here. Cliff Ronning. Oh, Murish 10 here too. Damn. Steve Webb, who was like one of the weirdest tough guys. Alexei Yashin, Mike York. I think Yashin's about to bolt for the KHL as well here. So we'll have to take a look at the roster for that. I'm going to keep reaching over here for my phone and then coming back because I'm curious now about Alexei Yashin. Oh, so Yashin would play until into the 06-07 season. So, yeah, so he gets to remain on the roster. But I just genuinely don't remember much about Alexei Yashin from this time. So let's move on to the New York Rangers. You know, Dan Blackburn, let's see, Mike Dunham's pretty old at this point. Marcel Hossa, not the right one. Jaromir Jagr here. Darius Kasparaitis at the tail end of his career. Is this the season where Mark Malik did the in-between-the-legs goal that, you know, everybody sees 1,000 times on any highlight reel? It might have been. Michael Nylander? Michael Nylander? Is that his name? Yeah, Michael. Okay, good. The dad of Alex and Willie. Let's see. Sandis Ojolin's a pretty good player here. Tom Pody. And also Steve Ruchin, Martin Ruchinski, Peter Sikora here, Kevin Weeks. Kevin Weeks a good goaltender this time. However, I think we got to go take a look at certain somebody who is coming over this time. Where did he play at this time? I think he is in. Ah, right there. Look at that. Oh, hold on. Are there any other goalies aside from Weeks here? Because, like, we'll drop Dunham. Maybe we could drop this guy. I don't know who he is, so, like, why not? Oh, they gotta have two goalies. What the? Hold on. We're going to do this. All right, so back to the Rangers here. We have moved Henrik Lundqvist over. Anyways, we'll of course edit this just to make sure. But 93 overall. He did come over in this season and be the starter. He played, I think, 51 games. He had 30 wins. I mean, like, he was good. He was a great goaltender from the outset. So, yeah, we're bringing him over because this is the season he came over. He was over in this year. Like, one of the most underrated goaltenders of all time. And he came over in 05-06. So the Rangers are going to get a little bit of boost in goal. For a team that's kind of weak at this time, I don't think the Rangers made the playoffs in 05-06 either. So We'll see how that goes. 30 wins, though. 30 wins. Yeah, maybe they were just on the cusp. I would have to bring up the 0506 standings, but I don't think they made the playoffs this year. Yeah, as we go down here, Ozlinch, Rakunik, Ruchin, Ruchinski, and Weeks, of course, as we've gone through. On to Ottawa, Daniel Alfredson, Tyler Arneson, Pavel Bondra? Peter Bondra? Peter Bondra. Why did I want to say Pavel? I don't know. I have any idea why I want to say Pavel. Pavel Bondra. Zdeno Chara still on the team a year before he leaves for Boston, which was a critical mistake. Ray Emery, who would become the de facto starter for this Sens team in the playoffs after Hasek goes down with injury. Mike Fisher, Dominic Hasek in 86. Marty Havlat still on the team. Danny Heatley, of course, arriving in the trade for Marian Hossa. Chris Kelly here, who played a role. Chris Neal, a tough guy here. Chris Phillips. Again, a lifer. Wade Redden here. Schaefer, Smolinski, Spezza. 85 overall for Spezza. Volchenkov and Vermette, very young at this time. But this is a very, very good hockey team. On to Philly. Brashear. Of course, one of the most notable tough guys of all time. Philly shouldn't be overly competitive, but they do get a little bit of firepower here. I mean, they did make the finals in our 05 series against us. They're not bad. They're certainly not bad. They were in the playoffs. I think they played Buffalo in the first round of this year, and that's that infamous Brian Campbell on R.J. Umberger hit, where Umberger is very clearly knocked unconscious on that play. Desjardins, Burke, Robert Esche, solid goaltender. Peter Forsberg coming over from Colorado. That's another player they have lost. Simon Gagne, about to become very, very good. Michael Hanzus, Darian Hatcher, pretty decent. Kim Janssen in one of his best seasons. Sammy Kapanen, Mike Knuble, pretty young at this point. Peter Nedved, a really weird player that you would never think or remember that played for the Flyers. Yet here he is. Antti Niittymaki, there's another name, a blast from the past. Very young Flyers goaltending prospect at this time. I'm pretty sure, how old is he? Yeah, 25. He's pretty much just ready to be an NHLer here. Let's see. Jani Pitkinen, very good. Keith Primo, I think, is the captain at this point. Let's see who else is here that's notable. Nobody else, really. Maybe Savage. Mike Rathje as well. Phoenix, Dan Cleary here, randomly after he leaves Detroit. I think he ends up back here in like a year. Mike Comrie, Shane Doan, of course, a lifer. Brett Hall's weird stint. I'm pretty sure this is the 0506 team that was coached by Gretzky. And I'm pretty sure this is the Coyotes team that got implicated for the gambling ring, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I am or not. I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to leave that floating. Mike Johnson. Is this the Mike Johnson? That's the Mike Johnson, TSN analyst Mike Johnson. Right there. Curtis Joseph out of Detroit after the lockout. But hey, he played a pretty key role in our 2005 series. He was our backup to Jose Theodore. Oleg Kavasha, Paul Mara, very young Zibanek McCulloch. Ladislav Nagy, very good at this time too. Steven Reinprecht. Mike Ricci at the end of his career. Jeff Sanderson toward the end of his career. Not a bad team here for Arizona. Phoenix by any stretch. I never thought I'd get used to saying Arizona, and now I just am. It's just weird. It takes a little while, but boy, does it ever come through. But I would not say this is a team that's going to be overly contending for a playoff spot. Cujo would have to really carry their team, and I don't think that's going to happen. Pittsburgh Penguins, again, not a very good team at this time. Malkin has not come over yet. I think he comes over the next season. But they do have Crosby. A little bit of glimmer of hope. Really just a turnaround for the franchise at that point when it was basically in terms of selling and it might fold and everything like that. And there's a little glimmer of hope here with Sid the Kid coming in for his first season. Marc-Andre Fleury, a future in goal. Sergei Gonchar, a defender who's going to be around for a while here in Pittsburgh. He's going to be on the 09 team that wins the Stanley Cup. Very, very good defender. John Leclerc here toward the end of his career. Of course, Mario Lemieux, 39 years old and still unreal. Dude played 67 games and had 91 points. Like, Crazy dude took 3 years off of hockey in here, and he was just still so good. Anyways, 1,700 points in 889 games. Oh, I love the theory that Mario is better than Gretzky. I don't know it for sure, but I love the theory, man. So good. Had his career cut so short. I think this is his final year too, so I don't think he even made it to 1,000 games in his career. Isn't that nuts? Mario Lemieux never even made it to 1,000 games. 199 point season. Crazy, dude. Absolutely bonkers. He scored 85 goals, 70. No, just an unreal player, anyways. Man. Anyway, I can't gush over that enough. So Lemieux here, Ryan Malone, before he kind of, descends into being more of a grinder. Hunter Morozov. Let's see, a very young Brooks Award pick here, but he's pretty good at this time. Roosevelt, Scuderi, Tebow. Jocelyn Tebow here, man. What a weird team. Pittsburgh in 05-06. St. Louis, another team that's not overly good. They're coming off of the McInnes and Pronger strong years here. A few bright lights, but probably not too much. Eric Brewer here, Dallas Drake, Eric Jackman, who would be there around for a really long time. Patrick Lalime coming over from Ottawa this season. Al McInnes still there. Dean McCammon coming from Calgary. But yeah, man, not a very, Keith Tkachuk is here, but that's pretty much it. St. Louis should probably be a bottom dweller team. I'm about 90% sure, of course, 06, they're going to draft first overall. They're going to draft Eric Johnson, who they would eventually trade for Kevin Shattenkirk, I believe. But they're about to they're about to probably finish worst in the league in 06 and draft Eric Johnson. So, yeah, just a weird time for St. Louis, but a time of rebuilding for sure at this point in time. San Jose, one of those perennially good teams. Chichu here, 85. Ekman, good. Gotch, pretty good. Alexander Korolyuk, very good. Patrick Marleau, very good. Alan McCauley, nice supporting cast of getting to Bakov, one of the best in the net. Schaefer, no, that's the wrong Schaefer. Anyways, Joe Thornton here, Vesa Toskala. This is this weird time of the not Calgary Flames, but the San Jose Sharks, I should say, where they were just churning goaltenders out, consistently. The Bakov, Toskala, who they eventually traded to Toronto, I believe. And then, of course, they had Kiprasov as well at one point, who was their third-string goaltender that they traded to Calgary, and the dude ended up winning a Jennings or a Vezina or something. He was so friggin' good. But anyways, not a very very top-heavy team in almost every aspect here for the Sharks, but a very solid team as well, a very, very solid team. All right, as we get to the end of the rosters here, pretty much, Dave Anderchuk, Tampa Bay, of course, they're still the defending Stanley Cup champions. They have not lost yet. Dan Boyle still here, Ruslan Fedotenko. John Graham, the goaltender, as Nikolai Habibulin takes off for Chicago. This is really when they, kind of immediately hit a cliff, which would result in them, drafting Stamkos, drafting Hedman, drafting some really good players. That is now what they're like a dynasty right now. Back-to-back Cup wins, been in the Cup Finals 4 times since 2015. They're a very good hockey team, man. But even at this time, they were pretty decent. Kubina, LeCavalier still here. Freddie Modine, Prospel, Richards, St. Louis still all here. A very good defensive team. Daryl Sador is here at this point. Is that Shane Willis? What up, Shane Willis? Shout out to Shane Willis, man. Good stuff on the, commentary and the pre-game shows and the stuff like that for the Carolina Hurricanes. Very good. All right, on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Everything's about the Leafs, man. Everything's always about the Toronto Maple Leafs, except for on this channel, sort of. I mean, I've done a Marner trade video. We've never used them in a Dynasty Mode. Yet. Maybe should I say yet? I don't know. I haven't planned all these ones out. I just kind of plan by a year. Anyways, the Leafs. Jason Allison, very good. Nick Andropov. Wade Belak, rest in peace. Ed Belfour. Carlo Koliakovo, Ty Domi. Ron Francis here during this time. Thomas Caberlet, very good at this time. Trevor Kidd, pretty much we only know him because of his pads. Eric Lindros signed to play with his, kind of his hometown team. Brian Marchman, rest in peace, a very recent pass away in the world of hockey. McCabe McGillney, very good. Owen Nolan, very good. Jeff O'Neill, very good. How is this Leafs team not way, way better? Did this Leafs team make the playoffs this year? Did they make playoffs? Did they get eliminated by Philadelphia? I want to say the Leafs did not make playoffs in 2005-06. We're going to find out, though. NHL playoffs. It's like 50 minutes into this video at this point, guys. If you're still here, hey, kudos to you. I'm Googling this stuff. Yeah, there you go. No playoffs for Toronto this year. Ottawa, Tampa Bay, Carolina, Montreal, New Jersey, New York, Buffalo, Philadelphia. I can't believe they didn't make the playoffs. This team's really good. Anyways, Ponikarovsky, Reichel, Renberg, Richardson, a young Matt Stajan here, Matt Sundin still here, Darcy Tucker, Kyle Wellwood. Man, this is a good hockey team, man. It is a little shocking they did not they didn't even make playoffs, man. Like, that's crazy. Vancouver, Washington, who I think that's our final two teams here. So here we go, wrapping it up. Let's see, Alex Auld here. Oh, no way. Mark Bergevin. You terrible GMU. All right, Todd Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi here, obviously, coming off the season. I think he gets traded in this season to Florida before the season starts, maybe. Not exactly sure. Maybe I have to look up a Todd Bertuzzi trade right now. Because, of course, like the backstory here is that, he has the Steve Moore incident, rather. Let's see, Todd Bertuzzi. 2006, so he's traded a year after this. Anyways, he was involved in the Roberto Luongo trade. I didn't know. Anyways. You learn something new every day. Anyway, we'll continue on here. Dan Cloutier, still a very good goaltender at this point. Matt Cook was like a kind of a burgeoning prospect at this stage of his career before he became like Rafi Torres, I mentioned earlier, kind of a cheap shot artist. Ed Jovanovski, very good. Very young Ryan Kessler here. Trevor Linden still kicking around. Brendan Morrison, Marcus Naslund, unreal. Norton in a solid backup. Oland, another very, very good defender. Sammy Salo, the Sedin twins. I don't know, just fire them off guys, and Eric Weinrich randomly here. All right, Washington. So obviously I don't have Ovechkin on the roster here, but consider him in there. Probably around. I think I made Crosby at 91. I make him a 91 or a 93. I think it was a 91. Anyways, I'll make Ovechkin a little bit lower because he's more offensive driven. And of course, I think Crosby could be considered the better player of the two overall, but Ovechkin's certainly the better goal scorer. But yeah, taking a look, this is an awful team. Just a terrible team. I'm wondering who the Caps drafted in 06. Backstrom. So they're going to get Nick Backstrom after this year in real life. Jeff Halpern, pretty good. Kolzig, a solid goaltender. Alexander Semin, a very, very formidable prospect at this point in time. 2002 draft choice, 21 years old, and his potential only a 77, which is not at all accurate for how good Alex Semin became. That's actually kind of crazy, but we're not doing beyond 1 year modes in this, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, going to the bottom, Dynasty Mode is the other one I really noticed his name in there. But yeah, that's going to do it for the rosters, guys. A good little review of, where the teams were and who was on them at this point. Let's go do the jerseys now, and then we'll reveal who we're going to use for the NHL 06 Dynasty Mode series. All right, so first up, Anaheim. Of course, the classic jersey at this time. Let's start off with their home. The classic, the Mighty Duck logo. Still the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. They're not going to change that until next season. The purple with the teal, or the blue, the cyan, with the gray stripe, unreal. The white jersey's so good too. And then, of course, this is really when they started to kind of shift the image of the team, and they moved it to this purple alternate jersey. I think this jersey would actually stay in for the next season as well, but they would, of course, introduce a new style, a new logo, and a much more plain style to the team. in the following season. Of course, they also have like vintage ones in here, which is really nice. I actually really like. This is back when the games did it really well. I think they actually had some good amount of vintage jerseys in the game, which was really, really nice to see and really nice to use. Take a look at Atlanta here. Of course, a classic jersey. I think it's kind of underrated how good their jersey sets were for a team that really had no financial backing and all that stuff. But yeah, a solid home, solid away, and of course their alternate that they would end up converting into their home jersey a few years later. But oh man, I love the logo. I love everything about the Thrashers. I wish they were still around, man. I really do. No offense to the Jets, but I wish the Thrashers still existed, man. The Bruins here, you know, a little bit different from their current style of jersey. You know, instead of a shoulder that's yellow, they do the whole arm system, kind of like how Columbus sort of does it. More like it's like a weird hybrid of a Columbus /LA/Winnipeg jersey currently. A very kind of strange design at this time, but and then of course you have the Bear jersey. I really like the Bear jersey. I think it gets a lot of flack, but it's a nice little design, and it's not, you don't need to make everything like a menacing figure and presence and all that kind of stuff. This is just a nice jersey, man. The vintage stuff, of course, Bobby Orr era kind of thing, and the vintage 1926 jersey, vintage 1972 there at the end. So you get a lot of jersey selection with the Bruins in this game. It's kind of nice. Buffalo, of course, the goat head, which is making a return this season for the Sabres. But man, one of the best jerseys ever. The goat head, dope logo, and you kind of get like Boston, like most of the teams in this, you're gonna find you kind of get the best jerseys. You just get the best back in the game. You know, at this time, you just got the best stuff. So home and away, awesome jerseys. You get that great third red with the cross, the Sabre logo there. Oh man, the Buffalo at the bottom. I love this jersey. You get the vintage jerseys too, like the vintage jerseys stuff were in this game. It's so much good stuff for the Buffalo Sabres in this one, man. Like, honestly, so good. Calgary here, still using the same jersey set pretty much from their 04 run. The dark, the black, which they only recently got away from in the last couple of years. The away jersey with the V sort of at the bottom, the striping. You get their vintage looks, which is, you know, kind of what they're using right now. And you also get that. I love that. This jersey for me, this is my favorite Calgary jersey. This style here, I know that'll set some probably Calgary fans will lose their minds if they're watching this, but man, I love that 95 jersey. Like, I love it so much. It's a weird, wacky jersey. It's a completely different concept, different style, and I'm in love with it. And then also we get Blasty, man. Blasty's such a good jersey. I still love it. It wasn't really, I think it was finally taken out this season, maybe, or maybe the season before, in 03-04 maybe. And then, of course, you have the Atlanta Flames jerseys as well. So, yeah, pretty good jersey set for Calgary here. Lots of variety you could wear. And at this point in time, all the jerseys kind of are matched up the same. So, not like the current games where the jerseys look weird if you wear the old ones. Carolina, this jersey actually making a comeback this year as a reverse retro, or maybe it's the alternate that they're going to wear. Pretty awesome to see. And Carolina has one of those very unique designs with the hurricane warning flag and the rally state and everything like that. You know, kind of an inverse of that jersey there. And of course, at this point, they hadn't introduced like an alternate jersey to the set yet. So I think that's still a couple years away at this point. I think they probably didn't even introduce an alternate until the RBK Edge. And really, the only other jerseys they could put in were probably the Hartford Whalers ones, and I'm not sure they have the rights to do it at this point. Chicago, just a classic. The jersey really has not changed much in the last like decade. Home away, you have your alternate, your black one, which is nice. The vintage from 1943 with the striping. 1926, again, the Blackhawks, you know, coming into prominence, coming into being a very good hockey team, have kind of, you know, hit all of this. They've hit every single design they could possibly do, and it all works. It's all a very nice design. Colorado, pretty much the same. Obviously, the modern style is a little bit different, but pretty much the same as what they'd had for the previous, like, so literally since they came in the league in 96. at this point. You know, they have the maroon alternate, which is really nice, and then of course the Quebec Nordique style jerseys. Columbus, still using the old logo, which is my preferred one. I like the old logo a lot better than the current one they use. It's just classic, and for when it came into the league and everything like that. So one of my favorites at this point. And yeah, of course they have the home, they have the away, and then they introduced the alternate, which is kind of what their current jersey is, just with the black in there as well. Yeah, I like both of their logos, but I prefer their original logo. I think it was kind of cartoony, and I think that's why they went away from it. But I kind of love it. It's a really nice logo and jersey combo. Dallas, oh man, Dallas just has a classic jersey at this time, man. So good. They have their home, they have their away, they have their vintage 93 jerseys. The Minnesota North Stars, the California Golden Seals, Cleveland Barons jerseys, man, they were, oh no, not the Mooterus. Not the uterus jersey, terrible. Anyways, we'll gloss over that one. But anyways, North Stars, they have a good jersey selection for the Dallas Stars in this game. All right, Detroit, a classic look again. They haven't really changed it up much in the last, geez, I don't even know when the last time they changed up the jerseys were. Really, they have a nice vintage there, old style logo from '55. But again, like, you don't change what works. And man, do the Detroit jerseys ever work, man. So good. Very good jersey. Edmonton, when they were still mixing in, I'm not even sure if I think it's a red and not an orange there. But when they were mixing the red and the bronze together here, kind of the Ryan Smith era jersey, if you will, the home and away. The oil drop logo, I love the oil drop logo. Looks like it's making a comeback this year with some orange added in, but which I don't really like the orange being added in, but I understand why. They're just trying to keep it kind of modern. You have your vintage jerseys from like the Gretzky era. You have your 96 of random vintage there, which is a really strange jersey to have in this game because it's basically the same as what they have here, just with the blue shoulder. So, yeah, the Oilers have a pretty decent jersey set. Oh, Florida, back when their jerseys had very much seen better days. A classic set here. You know, you have your red, you have your blue. Nice set, and that's, man, bring back the Leaping Panther, for God's sakes. Their current jerseys are so bad. LA, another classic time with their jersey set. The crown logo, which always kind of looks like a face. LA at the bottom on both jerseys is really nice. I really like this style of jersey, and even like the Los Angeles at the bottom, even on their alternates, very good. You can take the Gretzky era jersey as well. In the very old 67, the inaugural jersey, 67, 80 when they randomly had the purple shoulder, the Gretzky era again, and just a really good jersey set for LA in this one too. Minnesota, honestly, my favorite era of Wild jerseys. I don't really like their current ones. I like their current away jersey, the white one, but I don't like their home jersey. I will say that every day almost. I just don't like it. I don't like the stripe in the middle. I just can't get around it. I love this jersey. I love the style and everything along with it. I just love the coloring too. I like the kind of the beige that outlines the logo, the Bearhead logo. Minnesota's got one of the best logos in sports here with the Wild, and there's the alternate that unfortunately become the home jersey for so many years, and it's just, they look like Christmas trees. But yeah, a solid jersey set here. Probably my favorite era of it in Minnesota Wild history. And just something I wish they'd go back to be honest. Montreal, again, and just, see Chicago. Don't break what is not broke, or don't fix what is not broken, man. Home, away, the same. Excellent jerseys all around for Montreal and at this time. And, man, they've got the best jersey in hockey for sure. Nashville, back when they still had the triangle. This is an interesting time. I love these Preds jerseys. I hate their current ones. I think their current ones are the worst in hockey. I think a lot of people want to give that distinction to the Anaheim Ducks, and I'm sorry, I like the Ducks so much better than the terrible, overused gold that the Preds use these days. It's so much gold, it sucks. It looks terrible. Why they ever went away from the blue helmets, I'll never understand. Why they went away from the blue shoulder, I'll never understand. It's just too much freaking gold. It sucks. It's bad. Get away from it. Anyways, I actually do really like these, and I love that jersey. I know people hate on it and the kind of the puke gold color, but I'm always one for a weird design, and I really do like that alternate jersey there for the Preds. For the Devils, classic. Black shoulder, the white outer striping. It's just a classic. They've won the cups in it. The 80s jerseys are nice too. Kansas City, Colorado Rockies. There's a lot of jerseys in here that you can use if you're the Devils, but honestly, if you just rotated the four, here, the home away, and the home and away, man, it's just one of the best uniform sets. Islanders, this is probably my favorite blue of the Islanders. I love this deep blue of the Islanders at this time. It reminds me of Michael Peckham, Parrish. Trying to think, Niedema. Trying to think of other names, Hammerlick as well. Like, it just reminds me of those players, those early mid-thousands players. I love this style of the, and I love that alternate so much for the Islanders too. It's not a very good alternate, but I love it. You also get the vintage. You also get the Islanders, the Fisherman logo, which sucked. But yeah, you get the vintage. You get the modern, or like the deep blue. I really like the jersey overall. It's one of my favorites. Rangers, again, see Montreal, see Chicago. Like, don't break what's not broken, or don't fix what's not broken. I keep messing that up. But Lady Liberty in there, 76 weird Ranger jerseys, the inaugurals. Such good jerseys for the Rangers all the time. The Sens, the three different sort of jerseys, like the very contrasting styles. I love the home here with the striping. It's just weird and different, and it made a nice jersey at the time. The 3D logo, the 2D on the away jersey is very nice, kind of similar to what they have now. And then the alternate with the gold and the patterning. Oh, it's just such a good. I own this jersey. It's one of my favorites. I used to be a Sens fan for many years. Oh, it's just a fantastic jersey. Then you have your vintages, your Ottawa Senators around the brim. I think that would probably be the inaugural season. And then you have your Silver Sevens jersey there, which is really nice. So a lot of different combinations to wear if you're playing as the Senators. Philly on the other side, the black primary jersey is what I love about the Flyers. I absolutely do not like the orange. I don't like this jersey, to be honest with you. I think it's really outstayed its welcome as a return, and I think they need to go back to the black. I love the black. The RBK Edge is probably my favorite era of that jersey. It's just beautiful. The orange shoulder there. The 3D logo is awesome. Love this alternate. The orange of the Lindros era type stuff, and then the Broad Street Bullies era there. So get some good jerseys for the Flyers. At this time, Phoenix had a pretty clean look to their jerseys. The red with the white. They probably should add in another color. That's somewhere here. But honestly, a pretty clean jersey. It's not the best around, but it's certainly not the worst. Certainly, it really did define a new era for the Coyotes. They just switched the logo a couple years prior. And the Howling Head kind of Coyote is kind of a nice logo. It's just, honestly, the Coyotes have just been so bad for so long that they needed to go back to relevance, and that is, of course, the Kachina logo. Like, it's just so good. Just so good. They have the Jets jerseys in here. Obviously, the Jets are not back at this point yet. The green jersey with the cactus is just weird. Oh, good jersey, though. Pittsburgh at this time, using that weird sort of off gold. The color, honestly, I'll say it, I prefer it to their current ones. I'm not a big fan of the yellow. I really like this style. And again, this is the first jersey that Crosby wears, right? The Robo Penguin, I really wish that would make a comeback. Obviously, the vintage there. The Pittsburgh, nice vintage for the Pittsburgh there. And then the Robo Penguin again. I love that jersey. That jersey right there, man. I'm going to point it right here. Pittsburgh. What are you doing? You got Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang. All these guys sitting here. You want money? Just bring back the Robo Penguin on a jersey and just sell it. Wear it 2 times in a season. I'd buy this jersey with anybody's name on it. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even have to be Crosby. I would buy this jersey in a heartbeat. So good. All right, St. Louis is kind of similar to what they have currently. Their modern day jerseys, which they did take a bit of a turn when the RBK Edge system came in. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of a classic look. They seem to be slowly getting away from this more modern look, and they're kind of going back to their roots, slowly but surely. But they do really like the deep blue and the deep blue note and everything like that. So I don't know how I don't know how long they'll keep it around. But look, right now they have one of the better jersey sets. They have a great jersey set in this game, but I mean in real life they have a great jersey selection too. San Jose, back in a time when they didn't have the most bland jersey in friggin' hockey. Like, the teal is great, but it can't be just teal. And like, I know they did new jerseys and they look better than what they were currently wearing or what they were wearing before. They just unveiled these new ones with the teal pants and everything, but man, they're going way too hard at the teal. It's the same thing as I mentioned with the Nashville Predators, man. Too much of it just sucks. It doesn't make it good anymore. It just makes it worse. Just stop. This is a perfect jersey right here. Like, it's a perfectly good jersey. Sorry, let me not say a perfect jersey, but it's a perfectly good jersey right here. It's a nice jersey, nice era. That's a great alternate right there. That is a perfect jersey. You got your 3 colors. Actually, sorry, you got your 4 colors. You got your teal. You're using a lot of your teal here. You got your black, gray, white. And you got a home and away of it. It's so good. Anyways, Sharks have always had some pretty decent jerseys, but just not in recent years. Tampa Bay, their best era of jerseys, that's for sure. Their current ones suck. It's another team I'm willing to say. Suck. Just not a good jersey, man. Just bland, minimalist. I hate the new logo. Sorry, I shouldn't even say new logo. It's been like around for 10 years. 10 or 12 years now. It just sucks, man. Like, just the minimalist logo stuff, I hate it so much. Get rid of it. Go back to unique designs. This is a cool design. It was, corny when it came out. Corny that it lasted for 10 years. But, like, it's a good jersey, man. They're one of the best right here. A defining era of jersey right here. And then, of course, the Lightning and the Stormwater. Oh, what a weird jersey, but what a lovely, lovely alternate. On to the Leafs. The Ballard era logo. Still kicking. Not overly good, but this is probably one of their cleaner designs, I would think, for their jerseys at this time. They went away from like the comic logo or the comic font sort of thing, and they adjusted it to be a more jersey. This is an alternate. Okay, when they did the change of the logo, a handful of years back, 2016, 2015, 2016. This is the logo they should have went with. I don't like their current logo. I hate that there's it's a minimalist thing. Hate the design of minimalism. Sucks. Every aspect of it sucks. Having the logo, having the Leafs logo, and just it can only be white or it can only be blue, as in the Leaf, just bad. I love the fact that that's a blue Leaf with a white exterior with another blue, border. It just looks way better. Could have used that exact logo. I would have been very happy with their current jerseys. And of course, with the Leafs, you get a lot of different jerseys. The shoulder, you get the St. Pat's, you get the very vintage one. Oh, the 1966 jersey is just beautiful right there. Look at that. The other side of the vintage, but yeah, very good at this time. A very good set of jerseys for the Toronto Maple Leafs. All right, and on to the end, Vancouver. My favorite era of Canucks jerseys. I know probably people would disagree with that. Like skate era is very good too, but this is what I grew up on. Mark Messier, one of my favorite players growing up. This was the jersey he wore in Vancouver, and this is kind of why when I began being a hockey fan, I was kind of a Canucks fan, man, because of Messier and wearing this jersey, and I just loved the logo, and it was so weird and so different. Oh man, the feelings I get from like being like a 4-year-old and playing like NHL 2000, like just unbelievable. Anyways, love this era of jerseys. I love that alternate. I love the gradient. I think it got shit on a lot, but the skate logo, pretty good. That is a weird jersey for the skate logo to be featured on. The V, of course, you got classics. And of course, given the fact that it's an EA studio in Vancouver, they're going to put a lot more time and effort into the Vancouver Canucks jerseys than anybody else. But a very good set of jerseys for Vancouver, Washington, the original, jerseys that Ovechkin wore for a couple seasons before they, of course, went to the newer and the design they've kind of kept. The black jersey, the white jersey. You got your classic style here, but you don't have your blue one. Oh, never mind, right there. There's the blue. Forgot about the blue. I'm not sure if Ovechkin ever wore that jersey. I don't think that was active as an alternate at that point in time, but I wish the Caps would just go back to kind of this style. I just don't like their jerseys nowadays at all. All right, guys, so I've been recording for about an hour and a half. We've gone through the rosters. We've gone through the jerseys. And I had made mention of this during the NHL 2005 series that, I'm going to... I always like to go through and I want to pick not only a team that, makes sense as a cup contender, because that's the goal of these. We're going to play the whole season. We're going to try to play, go through the whole season, go through the playoffs, and win with the team. And, of course, if we try to do that with, Chicago, it wouldn't make any sense. The Chicago Blackhawks were not contending at this time. So we want to have a team, that is competitive, that is looking to win the cup. And a team that had that opportunity in real life. Not only that, is a fun team to play with. And I've made mention of this in the 2005 series as we were prepping for the NHL 06 series, is that I wanted to use a team that I believed should have won the Cup in 06. So without further ado, the team we will be using for the NHL 06 Dynasty Mode in this one is the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa went into this season with high expectations. They were coming off, of course, the lockout, but before the lockout, they were a very good team. 2003. 2003-04, I think they're probably they have the upset against the Leafs. Expectations remained high, but you know what they did? They brought in Dominik Hasek, and if it wasn't for Dominik Hasek going to the Olympics after saying he wasn't going to go, and then ended up going, if he doesn't go to the Olympics and tear his groin, Sens probably win the Cup, man. Seriously. Carolina was a very good team that year, but they added at the deadline to become better, and Edmonton made a miraculous run to the Cup final that season. If you put Ottawa realistically up against Carolina, they might be just slightly better. They'd be facing a rookie goaltender and not Dominik Hasek. And of course, I think if you put them up against the Edmonton Oilers in the finals, the Ottawa Senators would win. So I was a Sens fan at this time. Danny Heatley, Spets Alfredson, the pizza line was just unbelievable, and I was genuinely heartbroken when I knew Hasek had gone down. I wasn't able to watch it on TV because I had 3 channels, and it was Saturday nights were Hockey Night in Canada. It was the Toronto Maple Leafs. Those were the games I saw. However, I'll say this. When I heard that Hasek got injured at the Olympics, I knew that was bad, and I was genuinely devastated when Ottawa lost to Buffalo in the second round, and Ray Emery had to come in as a rookie and play. And of course, Ray Emery turned out to be great. He nearly led them to a cup the following season, but I think 06 was the year, man. 06 was the year. They were going to win the cup that year. So that's who I'm going to take. The Ottawa Senators. We're going to take the pizza line. We're going to take the last year of Zdeno Chara. We're going to take Dominik Hasek. We're going to go win the Stanley Cup. Anyways, guys, that will wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched the whole way through, well, kudos to you, man, because this is an hour and a half, and my voice has gone like 3 times during this. So I'm very excited to get this going very soon. I'm recording this on September 21st. I think there's another 2 weeks before the NHL 2005 series even ends on the channel here. So I'm going to start recording so that I've got lots of episodes in the bank. So of course these videos will always release, well after, the videos that you guys are watching and the dates they come out on. But it'll be the same schedule as well. We're not going to do it the same as, I should mention that. That'll be the last thing. Let's wrap it up here. I'm going to do the same schedule as I did the NHL 2005 series. So if you've been here on the channel, you've been watching the 2005 series. We did that Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern is when we did the video drops. I'm going to keep the same. I might change up the times on when they come out, just depending on what the analytics say about when the best time to drop a video is. But I will do my best to keep it to Tuesdays and Thursdays, so 2 episodes per week. And we're going to get going on the NHL 06 series. So along with 06 here, we're not going to do a commentary thing again. as much fun as that was and how much that it made my life easier, I think we're just going to show the whole game. We'll show the whole thing, playing it. I won't cut it up like I did with the NHL 2004 series, where I was, splicing in highlights and almost creating like a weird like little highlight package. We're doing 1 episode per game. It's not 2 episodes per game anymore. Or sorry, 2 episodes per game. My brain is going on me. 2 games per episode, as we did in 2004. We're going to keep it kind of the same. We're just going to play 1 game. We're going to have fun. I'll be on camera during it, just like I am now. We'll be playing the game. And, we'll just have some fun playing. And, it's going to be on the hardest difficulty. I think I did a test game like a few months back on this, and I got absolutely clobbered by the AI, so I'm really excited for that. But yeah, like we've got lots of stuff to cover. All the different features, all the different sort of things that are in the game at this time. So lots and lots of stuff to go over. I'm so excited to get started. But yes, won't be a commentary series. It'll just be a regular playthrough, and kind of, we'll have some fun while we play. I don't need to be trying to pretend to be a commentator as much fun as it was for the NHL 2005 series. But yeah, it's we're gonna do this, and maybe we'll switch back. Maybe we'll go back to the commentary style in a couple, maybe for NHL 07 or something like that. But for now, we're gonna leave it, and we're gonna have some fun, just kicking around and playing the game. So again, guys, thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button here for the channel. Just if you haven't already, it helps me out considerably, and I'm so glad you guys have been able to watch the videos and enjoy them, and I hope you do have lots of enjoyment from them. We have completed 3 games. We've completed 2003, 2004, and 2005. We're on to number 4, and I think there's about 10 or 11 after this, so it's gonna be a long time, man. Anyways, enjoy. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Can't wait to get started on the series, and I'll catch you on the next one.